Being patient.
Not at all, not at all.
So, beginning with a brief introduction about yourself, we'd like you just to give us an overview so far of the Vision 2030 from where you come in.
Well, first of all, my name is Paul Akiwumi. I'm the director for the Division for Africa, Least Developed Countries, and Special Programs at UNCTAD. And essentially we're here because not particularly coming here at this point, but we've been coming to Kenya for the last 2 years, is to sensitize the government and the civil society and the private sector about our new index that we've developed, the Productive Capacity Index. And essentially what that is that it's we look at the ability of the country to produce goods and services. And we've been able to find an index, develop an index, a multi-dimensional index that actually measures it, because it's important to measure it. And what is measuring is not the output, it's measuring the input required to produce goods and services. So that's energy, that is human capital, that's natural capital, that's institutions, to mention but a few. And when you look at this, it also looks at that this has to be done, there has to be interconnection between all of these things. It's vital that you cannot be on a sectoral approach. You have for development, you have the integrated approach for development. So the idea is that this index over the years is that afterwards, based on the data we get, we are able to develop a gap assessment. What are the gaps and what are the constraints for an economy to move forward? And then after that, we develop a program of support to actually deal with those gaps and constraints. And here now we're at the stage where we presented the gap assessment and also the program of support. And this has been done in conjunction with Vision 2030 and also all the technical experts of all the different ministries and everybody else, because it has to be owned by the government. And now we're finalizing things so that we can start with the implementation process of trying to deal with some of those gaps and constraints.
Yeah, thank you. So, if I'm not wrong, your department works in alignment with the SDG goal number 1, which is end poverty in all its forms everywhere, right?
Correct.
And in Kenya currently, we have seen we have a situation where civil servants, some are not sure to get their salary in time, some get even late, 3 months late, and also the cost of living is so high, whereby you can see the middle income earners are really going through tough times. And in relation to the Kenya Vision 2030, where do you think, where are we?
Well, I don't monitor where you are with Kenya 2030 vision, but I know it is a very vital important. One has to recognize that development takes time. Development, it doesn't come in 5 years. It takes 10 to 30 years, and it takes time. And you can see the countries, we've analyzed countries which have moved from lower middle income to upper middle income, or least developed country to lower middle income, and this all takes time. So it is very important for government to have a long-term vision of clear objectives that it wants to try and reach. And I know the 2030 vision wants to have Kenya as an industrial hub. So the focus has been there. How you get there through different regimes is another story, but the focus needs to be there. And this is very critical for all governments to have a clear vision of where they want to go to. Now, the work that the cost of living crisis is global. There's a cost of living crisis everywhere in the world. And this has been brought about by also the COVID pandemic, also the problems that we're having globally. So everybody is suffering globally, and all governments are trying to figure out how the best way is to approach this issue and to move the country forward. So unfortunately, it is everybody's feeling pain right now, and governments are making decisions that will hopefully alleviate some of this pain. In some situations, one feels that the pain should be less, but it's important that all the institutions, the private sector, civil society, stick together to try and make it through this stage.
Maybe perhaps because I've last requested.
Yeah, but quickly.
For like 2 minutes. So, what exactly do you think we should do, or where should we put our energy in so that we can be able to achieve this vision?
Well, let me put it this way. We have been discussing over the last 2 days of what we feel are the gaps and constraints for the inputs necessary to achieve structural transformation. So that includes whatever and anything else is going on. And there are clear areas which we've had discussions today, and I think the chairman also mentioned there are new areas. He mentioned the creative economy as a new area. And this is not just for Kenya. This is many African countries who do not consider the creative economy as part of the economy. And this also addresses the youth issue. Certainly agriculture is an issue. When 75% of the food is imported into the African continent, agriculture is an issue. And agriculture needs to be invested in, but invested not just on the consumption side, but on the production side. So that means investment in extension services, irrigation, infrastructure to roads, crops, pesticides, herbicides. All of these things have to be invested in. And then we were able to see some change. But as you know, as agriculture too, as you know, if you plant something, it takes time to grow. The whole process will take time, but you have to get the policies right. And you also have to be in a position to be able to review your policies, because there's no failure in identifying policies that don't work. It's, in fact, you should be reviewing your policies to make sure, constantly, to make sure that they are actually doing what you want them to do. So that's very critical.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
so much.
Yeah, thank you.